this session. The title of our session is Europe Roadmap to 2030 and Future Strategies of Energy Industry. I would prefer to say the strategies of energy industry now, not the future. So this can define the scope of this debate. Now, just a few organizational points. We have 1 hour, so the speakers have more or less 15-20 minutes. I would suggest to organize the session in this way. First, we have a presentation, and at the end we have a discussion among the speakers and with the public. So I think this is the best way to have reactions to the various sessions, and also to see the links between the various presentations. So in this session, I would like to have your comments on the feasibility of the objects of the roadmap in the light of many events that happened in the last years. For instance, the new American administration, and also having followed the debate in the previous discussions, I noticed a certain mismatch between Europe that is moving clearly toward the energy roadmap's objectives, and the situation worldwide and in other countries where the situation is not so optimistic, in the sense that I see also from the point my personal view, that there are delays in achieving many goals regarding renewables and maybe the initiatives toward better use of energy. So I have this impression. So this is something that I would like to be touched during the presentation of our distinguished speakers. I won't spend much time on the curricula of our speakers. Perhaps they can say something themselves about their experience and their skill in these areas. So I would open the discussion, the presentation, with the first one. The first one is the presentation by Maria Luigia Partipilo, Head of Institutional Affairs, the scenario which, in my view, are at risk. They need more intervention, more actions. So we have the opportunity now to move to the aspects of the energy equation with regards how energy use, the efficiency. For this we have Mr. Vittorio, household sector, and finally also transportation sector. Transportation sector, a little share of the transportation sector is touched by electricity, but there are many things to be done for the part of the transportation sector that is still relying on oil, and I think many things could be done also in those areas. So it's a pleasure to give the floor to Mr. Santo, who has a very deep experience in what is energy management and all the methods regarding a better use for energy. So
thank you very much. And good morning, everybody. It's a pleasure to be here to this interesting conference another time. Just 2 words about FIRE, we pronounce it in the Italian way, by the way, and it's a federation established more than 30 years ago with more than 400 members, which represent all the energy sector, so from power producers to technology producers to utility ESCOs and medium and large end users. And we work trying to promote energy efficiency and the rational use of energy, so also renewables, mainly supporting companies and people who work in this sector. We also manage the Italian Energy Manager Network on behalf of the Ministry of Economic Development. And we implement information, training, studies, service, and we're also active at European level in many projects. The idea is to produce the tools that will help companies and practitioners to increase the use of the Russian use of energy. So we deal with technological aspects, policy, financing of energy efficiency projects, and also energy performance contract, and whatever that can help in this process. So Vittorio then started with an interesting consideration. We have Europe with its ambitious targets, and we have the rest of the world. And in the rest of the world, there are important countries, as you know, that even deny climate change without considering all the effects that the end presentation were clearly shown. In my opinion, this denial is not due to the belief or not in climate change. It's due to populism. So, as the French experience in the last 3 weeks shows clearly, climate change can become a tough argument in the hand of populists, because if not cleverly managed, can offer a strong arm to say it is something for the elites, it is not something for the people. That said, other market leaders, and there is an example, but we can also think about, for example, large ICT companies like Egidi and so on. They are investing huge amount of money in sustainability, so they think that it is business, it is not just an illusion or some idea from elites. So let's say that we have these 3 ambitious targets, and my consideration is be careful, these are separate targets, and there is the trend that to watch them separately, but they are really interlinked, and this is an important aspect. Secondly, if we have a look at the rest of the world, or the world as a whole, considering the International Energy Agency scenarios, we can understand that the sustainable development scenario is really ambitious, much more than the European targets for Europe. Because you see new policies with CO2 emissions growing, and we see a new sustainable development scenario with a huge decrease. Now, this is not something easy to obtain, and also it relies very heavily on energy efficiency and renewables. By the way, theoretically, they are at least partly interchangeable, because you can avoid 1 ton of CO2 both by implementing energy efficiency measures or by implementing new renewable energy sources, substitution of fossil fuels. But this is not the same. You need energy efficiency because it offers a lot of advantages in terms of reduction of risk, of resilience of the energy system, and so on. And by the way, in terms of energy efficiency, we see that the International Energy Agency forecast to triple the effort with respect to traditional policies in the last 15, 25 years, depending on the horizon 2030 and 2040, in order to reduce the increase of energy consumption, with an increase of investment of about 33% at 2025, which are not small numbers. They witnesses that we are in front of a very ambitious challenge. And what is the energy industry doing in all this? Basically, it is changing. So Some years ago, we used to think about the energy industries as a monopolist or some large players with a mission, so power production, and a clear vision, and some large plants managed in order to produce electricity and deliver it to the end user. In the 90s, we started seeing the production of energy from renewable energy sources like wind and photovoltaics, and also from cogeneration. And okay, in the first 10 years, 15 years, nothing really changed because this growth was more than balanced by the growth of fossil fuels, the growth of the demand. But in the last 10 years, everything changed. And what we are witnessing is the emerging of a new energy industrial player, which is the prosumer, which is not just one client, of course. It's a lot of different people participating in the production of energy. Huge amount of energy. At least in Italy, we have 30–40% of production from renewables, and if we consider the fossil fuel part, half of them is from cogeneration. So we are speaking of large impact from prosumers. And of course, this means that we need different rules. Also because until now, all these prosumers have been operating in a restricted legislative framework. And now we are facing the introduction of new opportunities from demand response, from a storage system, and we will create, of course, new options. And from the energy industry, in my opinion, it means we have to change their mission. It is not just power production, it becomes something more large. It becomes also energy efficiency, it becomes demand side management, it becomes consultancy. In terms of the effect of the end user, things are even more complicated. So theoretically, end users can continue to buy energy as it has done all over the years. But in fact, it will have a lot of new opportunities. For example, power purchase agreements for renewables, the possibility to use alternative fuels, right, for example, for production wastes, the possibility to link more with district heating and cooling. Secondly, they can produce energy by renewables and cogeneration, and make this production more flexible thanks to storage system. They can use demand response options and energy efficiency to control the use in the production of energy and to limit the peak of demand. They can change the way they think about products. They can offer also services related to their products, linked to the end users, by using a lot the new technology, so big data and Internet of Things. And also logistics will change, with a lot of opportunities in the change of the supply chains and also in the use of the biofuels derived by production waste. That means that all this energy industry becomes interrelated with end users. And end users, on the other way, will face a lot of new complexity. First there was the liberalization of the market, and now there is much more. With just one caveat, which is energy efficiency. What happens with all this self-production? It happens that the cost of a kilowatt hour for the companies that implement local power production becomes reduced. And that means that energy efficiency becomes less attractive. And we have to find a way to counteract this trend. There is the mantra from the European Commission about energy efficiency first. It doesn't mean that we have to put always energy efficiency, or to always realize energy efficiency even if it doesn't an economic sense, but it means remember to think about energy efficiency and end users when you think about everything else. Otherwise, it will become much more difficult to implement it. Another interesting point related to the prosumers is that in a lot of cases, they are not utilities, they are not traditional energy industry players, they are other people, other companies, very different core businesses. So how to ensure that all these small plants will work as expected? Because of course, if you have 1% of production for renewables, it is not a problem if they stop working, but if you have 40%, 50% of production, well, it becomes an issue. And for example, we had a look at data from GSE for Italy about photovoltaics plants, and they show something interesting. So if we consider, for example, plants built before 2010, which were mainly large plants built by large companies, we show a 3% performance reduction from 2011 to 2017, which makes sense. Of course, this is a number taken without considering the variation in solar radiation, so its absolute value is not so significant perhaps, but I can say you that the solar radiation in 2017 was more or less equivalent to the one in 2011. The interesting thing is that if we consider plants built after 2010, in addition to the other ones, we find that this reduction rises to 6%. So it doubles. That means that all these plants are poorly performing. Why? Because they were mainly built in a rush to get the last part of incentives, the most interesting one. And so, built fast, with poor design, poor quality of materials, and no attention to operating and maintenance in a lot of cases. And in some regions in particular, like Lazio, we see that this number rises even to 12%. So that means there is a lot of space to offer operating maintenance services to these small plants, which will be important in the total figures. And as you can see, most of the plants are of small size, are not large ones, and are operated by prosumers, not by utilities or large energy players. So my conclusions. First of all, the energy industry is changing. It's changing also its borders. It's not something on one side of the grid, but it is something that impacts all the sides of the grids, also in users. And to be able to address this change is a real challenge for the energy industry. There are players who are already working in this direction, as and have been working over the last years. There are others that maybe didn't yet understand the importance of this transformation. Secondly, energy efficiency has to play a major role. And it is important to remember this when we plan our investment decision and we design our plans. Otherwise, we will implement a lot of overly designed and dimensional plans that will contrast the implementation of new energy efficiency measures and also become not effective after this measure will have been done. Third, there is the challenge with small and micro plants, which will be an important part of the energy industry in the future, and we'll have to ensure that they will work as forecasted over the years. Fourth, there is a huge need of new policies and new regulations to manage all this transformation. I think it is really a challenge for the regulation system because it has to address prosumers, it has to change the rules, put them in the overall market, not in a separate framework, and this by itself is a challenge. It has to ensure that we remind about energy efficiency, And maybe there is also a problem that laws in this moment of very fast transformation maybe are not the right tool to manage all this transformation. So I think that voluntary agreements between the industry, the policymaker, and the various stakeholders will be a very important tool that we have to manage this transformation. And finally, until now, the energy industry has been mainly an industry, a power production industry. Now I think there is a lot of space to develop new services towards the end users, also because to address the opportunities related to demand response and users need guidance, especially medium ones, but also large ones. So I think there is a lot of work to do, and I hope we will find the ways to address all these challenges. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Dario, for your interesting presentation and the fact you underlined the potential and the importance of efficiency, but at the same time I have some elements of concern arising from your presentation. You underlined that we are moving from a scenario where the main important actor was the industry. Now we are moving in a scenario where prosumers are the new protagonists. And unfortunately, the experience, I am also a prosumer myself, and I notice a big cultural problem in order to have millions of people acquiring awareness of the importance of what has to be done. To see people becoming able to take part in an initiative to build a little power plant or something of new nature requires a big effort. We are faced with the continuous stories of people opposing, incineration and everything. So maybe this is an area not touched. Maybe the regulation is important, but the participation of people. This morning we had an interesting presentation of the experience of Danish. Danish is a country that has done a lot of progress. And from this presentation we have seen the role has been continuous participation of people with both to the goals and also to the work. So maybe we should think about maybe to find some good examples. It could be an idea to do something and then to inform the others of a good experience. Maybe people can be convinced. Maybe with your organization, to make the success stories of improvement of energy efficiency. Maybe people can be convinced and can be helped because the process is very big. In a certain sense, the renewables are in the hands still in the industry. So while the other aspects is not in the hands, the industry can facilitate, but it's the final prosumer that will be the new actor. So I see this area to be touched. So thank you. And finally, we have a presentation from our friend.
The National Association for the Executive Managers or relevant people with high professionalism and working in which are in duty or retired. And we have 180,000 people associated. And what Federmanager is doing today is representing at the institutional level the category and is providing services to the associated partners, and as well as contractual, legal, tax consultancy for also for security reasons and social reasons. And of course, we are improving a lot, and I'm cooperating with their manager from outside. My hat is from Enel, but today I'm representing Federmanager. And we are very active in educational and cultural initiative. And today we are understanding that cultural and especially educational is quite important for the future, because we are participating to the moving up to the new energy future, for example, and we understand that there are plenty of possibilities there. And we do expect to increase and to improve our activity in the training courses, because the world is changing, as you have seen before. Big changement, and we have to keep the pace of the changement. Okay. Okay, this is the galaxy of Federmanager, okay, with many partners, so many partners, and just for your information. And we have been discussing up to now to what is going on in Europe and in the world. And there is a clear vision up to 2050, and there are many actions from the EU side, and many packages under delivery now. And of course, we have to secure a new economy based on the competitiveness and carbon neutral or climate neutral. There are many words to say that, and then you have seen before what is the meaning in that. And the European community need to be modern to stay there. It's very important when we talk about energy. Fixing targets is so important in the long time frame. I mean, maybe 2050 for people like us seems to be so far away, but it's not so far away for energy. So you have to go up there. You need intermediate targets, and that's the reason why Europe is setting up now targets up to 2030. So you have to understand where to go, and then to jump up to 2050, because the target is to reduce emissions in the world and in Europe, of course. I have this slide. I think Dario before presented the AIEE slide for global energy related CO2 emissions up to 2040 in this case. The point is, in this slide you can see, it's very important, you can see the new policy scenario where you go with the new policy scenario, out of the target. And here you can see the coal-fired plants, considering the coal power plants with the reduced emissions. I mean, this is the only way to have room in the green area to put ahead new, you have new maneuver to reduce emissions. If you don't reduce coal from this scenario, you don't get there. So this is a very important message to deliver. We need to do a lot from that point of view. And this is quite interesting. This is from AIEE. AIEE is the international agency in Abu Dhabi. And the meaning of this slide is, you see, we have less than 20 years to take actions, less than 20 years. If we don't take action, we exceed the CO2 budget to go up to 2040, 2050. So if we want to stay below 2 Celsius degrees, we have to take action, put in place actions. And if you don't do that, we are out. This is a very important message. This is Europe. This is the source, European Commission. This is a very deep pathways. Europe is is doing well. Is doing well. In general, is doing well. And you can see here how many sectors are involved in the change. This is the very how to stay on the 1.5 degree, which is the best scenario we have, and a very ambitious scenario. And you can see here on the for example power, the yellow one, industry, what you have to do in residential, what you have to do to reduce emissions, and all the possibility you have if you want to reach the target of the 1.5 degree. So a lot of actors are involved there. Everybody. No, it's not a matter of only one actor. All the actors are involved, including, last but not least, the human behavior. If you don't change our habits, we will never get there. Never. Okay. Those are the targets set up by European Union, the circular economy, the energy union, energy and climate. You have seen before the targets, very tough target up to 2030, and the revised one with at least 32.5% of energy efficiency and 32% for renewables. So very tough target. You can see here, again from IEA, the direction of the renewables and other sectors in renewables. And you are increasing wind. You can see we have to increase in wind production. We have to increase in with our renewables. Solar PV is increasing in Europe, not that much. For instance, in Italy, we have the national plan, which is setting up a very ambitious target. For your information, we have to add 45 gigawatts of power in Italy. A strong possibility in Italy, but we have to do that especially with PV. And to do this with PV, you need to have many areas available for PV. So big social change. People have to understand that if you want to get there, you have to accept to change your habits and your mindset, the NIMBY syndrome. That's a very big obstacle to get there. Okay, Dario spoke before about energy efficiency. We have a very important opportunity there. Federmanager, as I said, is representing the senior executive in Italy and the middle management in Italy, and so we have to talk about possibility for investment. This is what we need to discuss about. And for energy efficiency, we have plenty of room generating added value and new jobs. And you can see here what happened there. And the residential, I think in Italy we are doing something different from the rest of Europe. But we are active in residential, but the industry has to do a lot in energy efficiency again. So I think we believe that the industry 4.0 will have the possibility to boost the increase in energy efficiency in industry. And there are very big possibilities there. I have this slide for you from Irina again, just to show you in the several scenario how many possibilities for jobs overall in the world you have. And you can see, depending from the scenario, what we have seen before, the 2 degrees, below 2 degrees, 1.5 degrees, you have strong change in the possibility for employment in new technologies. And here you can see what is possible to do all over the world for that. I think this slide is quite important. You can see that you have to understand the percentage of GDP of investment related no, to GHG reduction targets. In other words, you can have many possibilities depending from the scenario you decide to follow of GDP involvement on that. And you can see that the baseline scenario, that means that you are in line with European targets in 2030, means that you have, looking at 2050, as I said before, you have only 65% of reduction of carbon emission. And this is the baseline scenario. So we have to update the scenario for sure. In the sense that after, beyond 2030, we need to reach the dimension of 80%, 90%, or 100% GHG by 2050. And that this is relevant to the effort that we are able to put in place in our countries. Of course, digitalization is a very key word together. So I mentioned before energy efficiency. Now we have digitalization. Digitalization is a fundamental part for the transition. So possibility for employment. Digitalization means prosumers, means that the customer is involved in the process, in the changement process. So this is very important to understand, right? That means that demand-side management, for example, the possibility for the customer to be responsible for his own consumption, to manage his consumption, to be proactive in a bi-directional way. This is a big possibility for new jobs, for employment. And of course, circular economy. In Italy, I think unless we are looking at very bad information now for firing, etc., etc. But we have a very virtuous circle in the circular economy, especially for plastic. But this is not enough. But circular economy must lead the changement process. It's one of the very important changement processes. I'd like to show you this. This is for 2030, the transition. And in Italy, this is relevant to Italy. You can see the level of investment. This red 2 is the new policy from Europe, as I said before, up to 2030. The reduction of CO2. And you can see the value of investment, approximately 50 billion euros. You can see the forecast for employment. You can see here, almost 120,000 people employed in management and engineering construction. And you can see the added value by sector, of course. And you can see more than 11 billion added value for PV, wind, hydro, biomass, and geothermal. Biomass is very little, unfortunately, but this is what we have. So, plenty of possibility to stay on the path. Back to Italy, as I said before, we have a very ambitious target up to 2030. We are in a very good position for reaching the targets already set up for 2020. I can say we are not very well on the way for 2030. We are not doing well at the moment. We have to do a lot for doing that. So this is very important. Plenty of possibility of jobs, plenty of possibility for reduction, for CO2 reduction, but action, associated action. Without action, we cannot do anything. So, this is the last one. You can see in my final remark. Political commitment is something fundamental. Without political commitment, it is not possible to reach the decarbonation process. And stability of regulatory framework is 100% needed. And simplification. We have, talking about Italy, we have a terrible difficulty in developing projects. We need simplification in those projects. We need to simplify all the system. To do that, citizens must be involved. Strong synergy between energy efficiency and renewable. This is a must. We have a lot of possibility in Italy to increase energy efficiency along with renewable. For example, distributed generation is a must. Distributed generation is something that is very important. Electrification of the system as well. We need to increase electricity for transport. Electrification and for transport is something that will help building a new future for CO2 reduction. And there are plenty of possibilities for the industry. We have seen before. Possibility for electric vehicle, the possibility for a new charging point, a lot of development there. Of course, innovation, wide innovation, and socio-economic structure must be aligned, as I said before. Without socio-economic understanding, mentality, information, culture, we cannot go anywhere. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. We are just in time. I would have maybe a final question maybe for all the speakers. You raised the problems of participation of consumers. Consumers needs education, information. I think we should touch also the financial problem. How to help a consumer to get the money or to be involved in a project. Until now, I see the reaction of people is not very interested. Also, to buy appliances, efficient appliances, and maybe the reaction is not so good. So, there is one aspect to convince the final consumers of the validity of efficiency, but also to help them to participate in some scheme. In the past, the industry had the way to go to the banks and the financial system. Now, maybe this is another option.